these ridiculous kind of hypocrites running this country, and I make no distinction between the Conservatives and the Labour Party, by the way, are ruining everything. You know, despite all of that, some of us still manage to make a few quid. One of them, of course, is Simon Calder, travel correspondent of The Independent, who's still suffering slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, but still gainfully employed. Simon, very good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes, against all the odds, Mike, but very good to listen and watch the programme this morning. And I'm afraid I have to be the voice of travel doom for anybody who's hoping to go anywhere over the bank holiday weekend,
yes,
because it's not looking as though it's going to be terrific. Where would you like to start? Name a form of transport, except possibly a hovercraft, and I will tell you what's going wrong with it.
Yes, well, I mean, I've noticed that there was some chaos in Scotland yesterday when the entire train ticketing situation seems to have fallen over. What happened there?
Yeah, they had so every train operator now kind of depends on technology for selling tickets online, for selling tickets by machines at stations.
Yes.
And that all just went wrong. ScotRail blaming their supplier, or rather saying our supplier is trying to sort it out. But meanwhile, it was fairly chaotic. And it wasn't just north of the border, because in northwest England, there was a theft of signalling cables between Wigan and Preston, and that caused dozens of cancellations, tens of thousands of passengers left out of position. And we've got more this morning in the St Helens area of Lancashire, more signalling cables stolen and more people unable to get to
Who's
work.
Who's nicking the signalling cables, and what are they doing with them?
They're selling it because it's copper, high value commodity, and well, clearly they think it is worth the risk involved, and also it's worth the disruption they will cause.
Yeah, but who's
in order
buying
to make
the
a few
copper
quid.
though? I mean, if somebody came to me and said, "Do you fancy some copper wiring?" I would say, "No, thanks. I don't really need it." Who's buying it?
Well, that is exactly, Mike, what the government is trying to sort out in terms of if you are a scrap metal dealer, you have to demonstrate that you know the source of this scrap metal. Right. And, we got all this really nice copper cable. Where did you? Oh, I found it.
Yeah, I found it lying by the Aviva West Coast main line.
Yes, but it might simply be that they are exporting this as, of course, they are lots of people whose phones get nicked.
Yes.
So it's whichever way you look, things aren't great. But look, we'll struggle by. We have done, people will emerge from this bank holiday weekend out the other side. I hope.
Yes, absolutely right. Now, I know that it's only Thursday, but basically I'm assuming that the road chaos will begin today, will it?
A little bit. Tomorrow, I think, is going to be the worst day. The reason for that is that we will have the normal business and commuter traffic mingling with 3 million getaway journeys, according to the RAC. On top of that, the maximum number of holiday journeys is going to be on Saturday, 3.4 million, but you won't have all the usual trucks and commuter cars as well. Sunday is going to be the day, if you want to make a great drive, the RAC says things will be smooth running on the motorways, and then on Monday it will get trickier. And I can give you, Mike, the motorways where you're going to see the biggest problems.
Yes, go on.
It's the M20 between the M25 and Maidstone, which it doesn't often feature. By the way, if you are lucky enough to be listening and watching in Europe now, and you're driving back, you're going back via Calais, watch out for that. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, going to be very long queues, because you've got to go through French passport control, get your passport checked and stamped, and then through the UK border while you're still in French territory. And last August bank holiday, we saw lots of queues building up. And then if you're staying in this country, it's the good old M5.
The M5 is always bad, isn't it?
Between kind of Bristol, the M4 junction, down to Bridgewater, particularly bad, but also slow all the way into Devon.
Right. Anything terrible going on? Like, are there any sort of air traffic control strikes or any sort of, rail strikes planned anywhere on the Eurostar or anything?
Right. Okay. I'm afraid rail strikes is what's going to get the highest number of people who are using public transport. You and I, just over a year ago, were talking about how peace had broken out across the railways. Everything was sweetness and light, and ASLEF and the RMT unions were therefore going to be happy for forever. But well, they're not, surprisingly enough. Cross country, and this is the really important intercity train operator that operates everywhere from Aberdeen, Glasgow, Edinburgh, all the way down to via the hub in Birmingham New Street down to the south coast and as far as Penzance. They have a strike, which means that there will be no trains at all anywhere on their network on Saturday.
Really?
Sunday, they're not on strike, but there's going to be large-scale cancellations anyway. And then on Monday, there's going to be a very limited service on the kind of core routes, which will be basically kind of York to Bristol, that sort of thing. So if you're on that one, then watch out for that. And then the East Coast Main Line, which is absolutely the kind of flagship route of the UK, that's going to be closed between London King's Cross and Peterborough, and that means rail replacement buses. You'll get as far as Peterborough as you travel down from Yorkshire, Northeast England, Scotland, and you will be invited to step aboard a bus which will take you to Bedford, and there you can hop on a train to London St Pancras International. So a bit glum there. And then Birmingham International to Birmingham New Street, that line is closing. You might think, well, that can't be very far. Well, it's Birmingham Airport, basically, in the NEC, but that's going to cause an awful lot of problems for an awful lot of people trying to get around, except for the people on cross-country, because their train won't be going anyway.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I keep speaking to people. My son actually came up to London the other day to have sort of late lunch, early dinner with me, and the train that he wanted to get was cancelled. For no apparent reason. He's got to the station, they were like, well, we're not running that one, you have to wait for the next one. And that was just on South Eastern, ridiculous. I'm also told, by the way, that there's been more cancellations in the air. Dozens and dozens of flights at London Heathrow have been gone due to ongoing operational disruptions.
Right. Now, if this is happening this morning, Mike, forgive me. I have not. I haven't checked out.
Last couple of days, apparently.
Last couple of days. Yeah. Well, so you've got a whole pile of things. All right. Let me start with Air Canada, and they have had a strike over the last weekend. You'll recall that the government said you've all got to get back to work, and they said we're not going to, and so it dragged on for another 24 hours. Pilots, planes, passengers strewn all over the place. So there are still cancellations going on as a result of that. They could last for another week as the Canadian airline sorts itself out. But on top of that, and you mentioned air traffic control, there are profound problems with air traffic control staff shortages across Europe, in particular in France, in Spain, and in Greece. And let me just remember what countries we like going on holiday to each summer. Oh, yes, it's France, Spain, and Greece.
Yeah.
And so there are long delays there. And if you take Heathrow, which absolutely is tuned to get more flights in and out than any other two-runway airport in the world, if things start unraveling, then you can get cancellations. We see this kind of, even if there's a little bit of weather around, you might get a dozen British Airways cancellations, short-haul flights, and that's simply to make sure that the rest can go vaguely on time. So kind of good luck, everybody.
Right. Have you got any plans? Are you going anywhere this weekend?
I love staying in London over the bank holiday weekend. It is a top tourist city, of course, and I shall enjoy the relatively lack of traffic as I cycle around, enjoying the sunshine and trying to look positively upon the world, which I know is something you're always doing, Mike.
Listen, there's always positives that you can find anywhere you go. I'm going to America at the end of next week, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll see how the Virgin Atlantic scenario goes, but very good to see you. Great to talk to you, as ever, Simon. Thank you very much indeed. Simon Calder, travel correspondent at The Independent. Normally goes somewhere all the time. This bank holiday weekend, not going anywhere. For those of you who are interested, or you haven't even thought about it, there's also Carfest going on this weekend. I'm going to be going to that, which is down in Hampshire, and which is obviously a couple of hours outside of London if you're unlucky and you get stuck in some traffic. But today, apparently, not going to be too bad.